Yeah, really disappointing loss. We got a locker room in there of a bunch of really hurt guys. I think it's pretty obvious. We dug ourselves a big hole. They started fast, 2 quick touchdowns. We drove it down, turned the ball over in the red zone. Then we kind of got back in it, and then let them have, the big play, the 80-yard flip pass for a touchdown was kind of a backbreaker. I will say, being down 28-7 the way it was going, the way our guys fought, got back in it right before half and hung in there. We got it to a 1-score game. But we just didn't, we didn't get it done. Credit to TCU. We did a lot of things well, just like last week, but we didn't do the things well when we needed to. And our miscues were really at critical times, both of them, in terms of the turnovers. And then, of course, the last play where we get a penalty for jumping over the shield and we're going to get the ball back. But we're not happy with being 2-2. We played 2 really good teams to 1-score games and could have put ourselves in position to win those games. We didn't do it. But we're about to start our conference slate, and all our goals are still in front of us.
Take questions?
Was what TCU did early, was that something different than you had seen, or just them executing?
In terms of?
Offensively.
No. I think we knew they were going to run split zone. We knew they were going to flip the ball to a really, really good player. And, just like they knew we were going to throw it to our guys. And, they're good at what they do. We're good at what we do, and we struggle with it. But the killer was not that they had some good runs on us. It's, they had the 2 long touchdown runs and then the flip play. I guess one of them, they went on to score. Yeah, 28-yard touchdown run, 80-yard flip, and then that 63-yarder late. You got to get them on the ground. Your bad ones got to be 10 and 12 play drives. And you get out of the gap against a really good back and a good O-line, it'll happen to you.
What did you think of Tanner's performance today?
I thought it was pretty gutty. He missed some throws. He missed one. We ended up scoring early on a drive. His first interception was just thrown late more than it was the throw. You can't throw late to the outside and inside. Guy made a good play, but you can't do that. The second one, our receiver hung him out to dry. You can't jump behind a guy on a post. You got to protect the QB and cut in front. But he missed some throws, but he's hurting. He got hit pretty good on their sideline, and he's hurting. And I think you were going to have to pry him off the field if you didn't want him in there. Same thing with Rasheed. Rasheed got hurt in the first half. We had some other guys too. You got Jake Bailey playing with one arm. You got Bo Corrales coming back. Guys up front are banged up. Both defense, Massey's playing. They played through it. It just wasn't enough.
I was going to say, Tanner came off for just one play. Looked like he was in pain, but like you said, he went right back in. How much was he limited after that shot in the way he threw the ball, and therefore how much were you limited in what you could call?
He took a good shot, and when he was coming off, I thought he'd be out for a bit. I was fully prepared for Preston to stay in there for a while. But one play later, he said, "I'm good," and ran back in there. He wasn't really interested in staying out. So it didn't affect how we called the game. We called it to win. I think he missed some throws probably, but he also made some big-time throws too. So, gutty performance for sure.
I know the running game has been a topic of conversation. Just what you see, obviously 104 on 37.
Yeah, well, I think that's more than they were giving up. So I may be wrong on that. But, we got behind 28-7. I felt like we ran the ball effectively when we did, especially those last few drives. We got down 28-7, and I may have pressed a little bit at times, but we did get back in it. And then one drive I'd like back, we had one. It was for maybe the second drive of the second half. I think we threw 3 straight passes. But when we were able to stay ahead of the sticks, we were balanced. We did good. That's what that defense does. It makes you be patient. Your good runs are going to go for 4 and 5. We actually had probably more explosive pass throws than I thought we would. But you had to be methodical, and it ended up paying off for them.
You mentioned Jake Bailey playing with one arm, Bo Corrales coming back. Are you surprised with the production you got from them?
I'm not surprised with the production because they're good players and that's what they do. I'm pleased that they were able to stay in there and not get any further injured. Jake was big for us today. We knew he would be a really good player. We missed him the first few weeks. He got him back last week a little bit. Not having Curley it hurt, but I thought Moochie and Bo and Teddy and those guys and Austin, they filled in fine. But at the end of the day, it came down to they made the explosive plays into touchdowns, and then we had 2 critical errors when we didn't need to.
Go ahead.
Just Jake, in terms, you probably get a few important catches today that got you guys across the 50. What do you see with him and Tanner in terms of their connection and Tanner's trusting him in moments like this.
Yeah, well, Jake's really experienced, and he's got a good catch radius for a guy. He's not short, but he's not as big as some of our outside guys. And I think anytime you have a really effective slot receiver, that takes a lot of pressure off your outside guys. You know, we didn't have that the first 2 games. We had a little bit last week, had it obviously today, because we have some other good outside receivers I think are going to continue to get better, but while they're progressing through some things. Yeah, you can tell the way the quarterback throws the ball to certain people, the kind of confidence he has in him. And the way he threw the ball to Jake's the same way he throws it to Rasheed, you know.
After Trey's third touchdown, you went for 2.
Yeah.
Why go for 2 there instead of 1?
My thinking was, I think we were down 35-21 when we scored. If we'd have got it to 35-34, I was going to go for 2 and go for the win. So if that's the case, go for 2 then, because either you get it and we'd have been down 6, you score again, you don't just kick the extra point and you win. If we didn't, which it was there, but we didn't, we were down 8. So if we don't let them score, when we went down and scored, we'd still have to go for 2, but we would know what we need. So you, in essence, you get 2 shots at a 2-point conversion. You get one of them, you're tied. You get the first one, you can kick an extra point and win. So that being the case, knowing that the way the game had gone, I was going to go for the win if that came to it. That's why I chose to do it when we were down 14.
Seemed like you got even more pressure than last week, and especially then got the quarterback down. How nice was that to see them put Max in some of those situations and then get him down to the turf?
It was good, you know, because we didn't finish on some last week. And Max is different than Leah at Maryland, but they're similar. They can extend plays and scramble and keep plays alive, and they're hard to get down. And for us to do that, we got some balls on the ground. We just didn't get them. That was big. I mean, you know, we said at the beginning of the year that we had over 50 new players in this team. And for them to play as hard and as well together as they do, I think it's a big deal. We just got to continue to get better and play better. Playing hard, playing physical, playing together gives you a chance. We've had chances. We got to play better to finish some of these games against really good teams, which pretty much every game the rest of the way is like that. But we got to pick ourselves up as we get ready for conference play, because all our goals there are still in front of us.
Jalen Samuels, sack and a half in his first game
Yeah.
against a pretty good offensive line. You surprised what you got out of him?
Not at all. It's good to have him back. You know, we felt like coming out of spring he was different. He was going to be a really good player, and he's had some injuries he's had to sit and get through, and we got him back this week. And as far as I know, he got through the game fine. I haven't heard any different. But you know, he makes us different in terms of a pass rush and his motor. And like you saw, not even him, it helps the other guys. So we're going to need to be able to get pressure on guys without always having to blitz, and that's big, having him.
You talked a lot about pressure versus emotion. How did you feel like your guys handled that today?
You know, I do think they handled it fine. When you think, I don't think we had any, you know, unsportsmanlike conduct, late hit penalties. It did get chippy there. Rivalry games are supposed to. I thought the officials did a good job on both sides of, you know, keeping it in check without letting it get out of control. You know, get out 28-7. I'd say we didn't get too emotional, because if we'd got emotional, it could have got ugly real quick. And our guys stayed in the moment. They did what we said. They just kept playing. They fought their way. They got us back in the game. We got the ball back down to score. We didn't go score. We were about to get it back down and score again. We didn't. But, you know, you can't dig yourself a 28-7 hole against a good football team.
A week ago in College Park, you talked about your team having to respond to a loss for the first time. Now you've got 2 of them, and you're going into conference season. What's the key for you and your staff helping your team regroup and get after it next week?
Yeah, it's a hard challenge for sure. And we've got our work cut out for us because, one, we're beat up. And we've played 2 really physical teams, 2 really physical games. And we've been equally as physical, but we got to go on the road. It's without question the hardest place to play in our league. I think they've lost 3 games since 2015. They might be the most talented team in our league, and there's some really good talented teams. So we're playing a really good opponent on the road to open conference. And we're coming off of 2, you know, hard to handle losses, you know, where we didn't play bad, but we didn't win. And, you know, I think we have a good thing going in our locker room. That's what I told them after the game. I said, you know, I believe in you guys. I wouldn't trade you for anybody. And I wouldn't. I mean, it's not just what I'm supposed to say. It's what I believe. They worked too hard. We have too good of a thing going. We have a good football team. You know, we're 2-2, but we have a good football team. And contrary to probably what people thought, in the offseason, we didn't break things down on TCU or beat TCU or a TCU rep. It's our rival. Every year it's a big game. And this was a big game. But we were always, our number one goal has been to compete for our conference championship. And so I just reminded them of that season starts now. Those goals are still in front of us. But we have a tough challenge. We have a bye week coming after it, and we need it. But we got to go find a way to go down to Orlando, Florida, against a really good team in a really hostile environment. We got to find a way to gut out a win and get to 1-0 in our league. And, I fully expect by the time we get back together Monday, those guys will be ready to do that.